if you believe that Iran should have a nuclear weapon, there's something wrong with you, because they would use it within, the only question is within 1 hour if they get it, or 1 day. They will use it, and they will blow up the entire Middle East, not just Israel. They'll start with Israel, but they will blow up. And you got to see that when they unexpectedly started sending missiles to every country within 1,000 miles of them. Had we not done this, you would have had a nuclear war that would have evolved into World War III.
President Trump with an update there on Operation Epic Fury from the Oval Office yesterday as the conflict in Iran reaches day 17. The president told reporters the strikes targeting Iran prevented a catastrophic nuclear exchange, which he said would have inevitably spiraled into World War III. Pentagon officials planning to submit a supplemental defense request to Congress in the coming days. Lawmakers confirming my reporting that could be upwards of $50 billion. I asked Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman about it yesterday. Here's where he stands.
I would vote 100%, and I would dare any of my colleagues to vote against providing our military the kinds of necessary munitions, the things that they need.
Joining me now is Texas Congressman Pat Fallon. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And you are on the Armed Services Committee. You are the chairman of the Subcommittee on Military Personnel, and you also served as an officer in the U.S. Air Force. I want to thank you so much for your great service to our country.
Oh, thank you, Maureen. Good morning.
Let me get your take on what this supplemental package looks like. Is $50 billion the right number? And where specifically do you expect the money will be allocated? Where are the munitions that we need? What weapons are in most need right now?
Well, Marie, I definitely think that $50 billion is a good start. We're in a major conflict, as everyone knows. We need to replenish our munitions. We're talking now because we do have air superiority. We need to take advantage of that and leverage technology where you're seeing, obviously, we need more precision munitions, missiles, ballistic missiles. But something that has just really become known widely publicly is these drone attacks by the United States and Israel on checkpoints of some of the repressive regime thugs is something that would have been science fiction 10 or 15 years ago. And this has happened. This is actually happening now, to where they're trying to control their population, and they're looking to the sky and not looking down the street because they're worried about these precise strikes with drones that are taking out just a handful at a time. So this is something we've never seen before.
That's unbelievable. I mean, we were just talking about the prediction markets, and Polymarket and Kalshi. They're saying that this war is going to go longer than people expect. I mean, is it fair to say that $50 billion is just a start and that number goes much higher?
It could. It definitely. I mean, it's fair to speculate that we may need more. Yeah. But you know, something a lot of people aren't talking about, Maria, is the Straits of Hormuz. If we can open the Straits of Hormuz back to, really regular type of shipping, that prevents and really robs the Tehran regime of any kind of leverage to press the United States in Israel to have some kind of a ceasefire or to go to the negotiating table. Because if we can stabilize global energy prices, then we could be in it for the long haul, and the American people and our economy won't really feel it.
Absolutely. So what are your thoughts in terms of who of our allies will join this fight? I know that the Japanese Prime Minister is traveling to Washington this week. Maybe that conversation is not, complete yet. But we heard from Australia, we heard from Germany, who are declining to join this fight. And what about your colleagues in terms of, they won't even open the Department of Homeland Security, right? TSA union leaders urging lawmakers to end the Department of Homeland Security shutdown. What do we mean, day 32? I spoke with Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy on Sunday, and here's what he said. Watch.
300 TSA agents have quit. The number of call-outs are double what they were before. So you're right. And again, we want a smooth aviation system. And aviation is split up between Homeland Security and us at the FAA and DOT. And it all has to work together to make your flying experience better. And if you stand in line for multiple hours, you might make a choice not to fly. And a lot of people have to travel for business. They have to this is spring breaks. They're traveling for pleasure. And so it does have an impact.
So your thoughts, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is pushing a discharge petition to force a vote on reopening just parts of DHS without actually funding immigration enforcement after the Democrats blocked the attempt to reopen the department 4 times, Congressman.
Maria, they're playing games. I mean, we funded through the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Customs and Border Patrol, which includes ICE, for the next several years. What's not being funded right now is you've got the TSA, as we all know, and that's what the American people are really feeling. But cybersecurity, Coast Guard, and FEMA. This is absolutely ridiculous. And now we are in a major conflict with Iran. You know what we need to do? Fund Homeland Security forthwith.
Yeah. Liz, can you believe that the investigators, the police, are now investigating a total of 4 potential terrorism acts, and we still don't have the DHS open?
I think this is so reprehensible. Yes, and this is absurd. We know that there are sleeper cells. We know that hundreds of people on the terror watch list came into the country during Joe Biden's presidency. This is outrageous. And I got to tell you, I tweeted out yesterday Chuck Schumer's phone number. Everybody should call Chuck Schumer's office, 202-224-6542. Find it on my Twitter feed. Call him and tell him to reopen the government. I think this is an outrage to the American people.
Good for you, Liz. And you know what else, Congressman? I mean, they won't open the DHS, but you know what else they won't do? They won't actually agree to explaining and proving that you are a citizen of the United States to vote. I mean, the Senate is set for a test vote to begin debate on the Save America Act today. If the Senate votes to proceed, days of debate on the voter ID legislation will follow. And I want to get your take on whether or not this actually sees the light of day ever on the president's desk. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman said yesterday, he told me now he cannot support the bill in its current form anymore. Watch this. What specifically is bothering you about the current Save America Act in its current form, sir?
It is just not workable where it currently is. That's not a serious outreach from the Republicans to try to find something they could vote for it. So if they want to pass something to make it more secure or to provide ID, that's part of this conversation.
Are you suggesting that a driver's ID, a driver's license, or are you suggesting citizenship to vote is reasonable?
I will remind people that it's not a radical idea for Americans to provide ID, but that's not what Save America is right now, and they're attaching all of these other things that is a distraction to the core. I'm saying that you have to produce real ID or a secure state ID. That's part of a process, and that's up to the other kinds of states. So that's what's entirely appropriate.
Congressman, your reaction?
Well, at least, you know, Senator Fetterman has been acting in a bipartisan fashion.
Yes,
I don't know what has changed. I don't think anything has changed in the last few months.
Well, one thing that has changed is the president added a couple of levels to it. He said no transgenderism surgery. He said no boys in girl sports. You know, I mean, and that was one thing that Fetterman called it's become a Christmas tree.
We should focus on the SAVE Act and the fact, Maria, that right now it's just an honor system when you register to vote. You check a box and promise that you're a U.S. citizen. That is absurd. No country would do this other than the United States. I don't know why the heck we're doing it. We need to be able to prove that you're a citizen. 80% of the American people, a little bit north of 80% of the American people, are perfectly fine with voter ID when you go and vote. So the Democrats are just, again, playing games. And nothing is more important, because if we don't have honest, open, fair elections, we don't have a republic. So we have to pass the SAVE Act.
But some of your colleagues try to say that a driver's license is adequate. It's not. Because driver's licenses have been issued to illegals in this country, in California, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, and others.
Well, just in Virginia alone, they had initially in their voter rolls 11,000 aliens that they have admitted to. They cut that. And 11,000 votes in Virginia could determine an election.
But let me just say one more thing. I think viewers need to understand, it's just the first time that you have to prove citizenship, right? Then you get a voter card. I mean, people need to understand this is not such brain surgery. You prove your citizenship the first time, then you get a voter card and you use the voter card from then on out, right?
Eminently reasonable, and this needs to again pass as soon as it's early as possible. Venue.
Congressman, thank you. Good to see you. All right, Pat Fallon joining us.
God bless.
We'll be right back.